I've watched investors lose $50,000 on a land deal for one simple reason. They stopped thinking like investors and started thinking like buyers. And that tiny shift changes everything. When people start learning land investing, they unknowingly operate under two completely different psychological frameworks. Most people see land through their eyes as a place to live, while the successful few see it through a lens of pure numbers and potential. Understanding these frameworks is the difference between a profitable venture and an expensive hobby. One leads to a beautiful backyard, while the other leads to financial freedom. Today, we bridge that gap. The first is the consumer mindset. This is the mindset of someone looking for land they personally want to live on. It is driven by dreams, aspirations, and the tangible feeling of ownership. They care about things like the view from the property, the quality of the soil for a garden, and how quiet the area feels when the sun goes down. These are qualitative features. They wonder, how close is it to schools or the local town? They are looking for convenience, community, and a place where their children can grow up safely. They imagine the lifestyle. They imagine the house they'll build, the garden they'll plant, and the years of memories they'll make. It's a vision of a future home. They imagine raising their family there, creating a legacy in a place they can finally call their own. For the consumer, land is the stage where their life story will unfold, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Because when you're buying land for yourself, emotion is part of the decision. It's about personal fulfillment and finding a sanctuary. But for an investor, this mindset can be a dangerous trap. When you fall in love with a piece of land, you lose your ability to see the numbers clearly. You start justifying bad prices for good views. But investors operate with a completely different framework. They strip away the emotion to look at the objective raw data. To them, land isn't a home. It's an asset class with specific variables. An investor isn't asking, would I enjoy living here? They don't care if the sunset is beautiful or the grass is green. They care if the zoning allows for the highest and best use. They ask something very different. Is there a price gap here? Investors are looking for market inefficiencies. They want to buy at a price that leaves room for significant upside. Investors hunt for one thing only, the difference between market value and the purchase price. That difference is called the margin. It is the only metric that truly matters, and margin is where the money lives. If you want to succeed in land investing, learn to stop looking at trees and start looking at the margin. Now here's where most investors accidentally sabotage themselves. Everything works perfectly until they find a property they love. The moment you look at land and think, this is it, this is the place I could see myself living, your negotiation power disappears. Because the strongest weapon an investor has is the ability to walk away. When you're analyzing deals strictly as numbers, walking away is easy. You have no emotional attachment. You're evaluating dozens of deals. If one doesn't work, you move on to the next. But the second you fall in love with a property, something dangerous happens. You start justifying the price. You tell yourself things like, well, it's a little higher than I planned, but this place is special. That single thought is the moment discipline disappears. And once discipline disappears, investors start paying retail prices instead of investor prices, which means the deal is no longer an investment. It becomes a purchase. When you pay retail, you're not just losing money today, you're killing your future yield. Let's look at the actual math of an emotional purchase. Investors make their money on the buy. If your entry price is tied to how much you like the wallpaper, you've already lost the game before it started. Every dollar overpaid on a special property is a dollar that could have been invested in a better performing asset. This is the hidden cost of sentiment. To win, you must develop a strategy of radical detachment. You need to treat your portfolio like a machine, not a gallery of homes you'd like to live in. Establish your non-negotiables before you ever step foot on a property. If the numbers don't hit your target, the physical appearance of the property is irrelevant. Use a buffer, whether it's a partner who is strictly numbers only or a buyer's agent with clear instructions. Never let your own emotions be the final signatory. Always have a second deal in your pocket. The moment you have an alternative, your desperation vanishes. You aren't losing the one, you're choosing the best one. Scarcity is a marketing tactic, not a financial reality. There is always another property. There is always another opportunity if you have the patience to wait. True investors find beauty in spreadsheets, not crown molding. They find inspiration in cap rates, not curb appeal. This is the mindset of the top 1%. An investment is only successful at the exit. If you overpay at the start because you love the place, your exit strategy is already compromised. Discipline isn't about saying no to what you want. It's about saying yes to your long-term goals. It's the difference between a buyer and an owner. Next time you find a property you love, stop. Close your eyes, look at the numbers. If they don't sing, walk away. That is your greatest power. Because in this game, the person who can walk away is the person who ultimately wins. Invest with your head, not your heart. So if your goal is to buy land for personal use, what should you actually do? The answer surprises a lot of investors. You should stop acting like a flipper. Instead, start acting like a strategic retail buyer. That means looking in places investors often ignore. Check the MLS, Facebook Marketplace, and Craigslist, land listing platforms like LandWatch and Land and Farm. Now I know what many investors are thinking. Those properties are overpriced. And yes, many of them are. But something important happens to listings that sit on the market for a long time. The longer a property sits, the more motivated the seller becomes. And motivation is where negotiation power appears. If a listing has been sitting for 6 months or even a year, the seller often becomes flexible. They often become very flexible because unsold land creates frustration, and frustrated sellers start listening to offers. That means you can begin making offers around 70 to 75% of the asking price. Many of them will say no, but the right one will say yes. Another truth many new investors miss is this: not all listings are marketed well. In fact, some listings are terrible. You'll find properties with blurry photos or no photos at all. You'll see wrong acreage and bad descriptions that make you wonder what the seller was thinking. Those listings often sit ignored for months, sometimes years, and when properties sit that long, sellers slowly lose confidence in the price they originally set. That creates opportunity, because even though the property is technically on market, the seller may be just as motivated as an off-market owner. In fact, after years of acquisitions, I can tell you something interesting. I have never paid the full asking price for land listed on the MLS. Not once, because the asking price is rarely the final price. It's simply the starting point of negotiation. In the world of real estate, understanding the gap between marketing and value is where wealth is built. Look for the listings others ignore, and you'll find the deals no one else can see. That is the true art of land acquisition. If you really want to maximize your chances of finding the perfect property, you need more than just luck. You need a dual strategy. This approach ensures you're looking where everyone else is, but also where no one else is. It's about total market coverage. The first pillar is aggressive. Make offers on stale listings across MLS and online marketplaces. Don't wait for the perfect time. These properties have been sitting. The sellers are often motivated, and a bold offer can unlock value that others missed. Second, you must look outside the public eye. Run a targeted outreach campaign to off-market landowners directly. Through cold calls or specialized text campaigns, you reach owners before they even consider listing their property publicly. This combination creates a constant flow of opportunities. While others wait for the right listing, you're building a pipeline. But here is the final lesson that experienced investors eventually discover, something that changes how you view every deal. Some of the best personal properties you'll ever see appear by accident. They aren't the ones you set out to find. They show up while you're running your normal investing business. You're doing the work, day in and day out. You're analyzing deals strictly for profit. You're looking at cap rates, cash flow, and appreciation potential. You're focused on numbers. Every decision is backed by data, leaving no room for guesswork or sentiment. Then suddenly, one deal stands out. It breaks the pattern of everything else you've analyzed that week. A property that is too special to sell. You realize this isn't just an investment, it's a rare find. That's when the best purchases happen, when value and personal desire align perfectly at the right moment. It's not when you're chasing your dream land with blinders on. Chasing often leads to overpaying. The best deals happen when the right opportunity appears during disciplined investing. The process brings the deal to you, because the moment your emotions control the process, you stop being an investor. You lose your edge. Investors capture value. They see what others miss because they aren't blinded by how a property makes them feel. Consumers pay for value. They pay the premium that investors have already secured through discipline. By following a dual strategy and sticking to the numbers, you position yourself to find those rare, accidental gems. Start your dual strategy today. Build the process and the properties will follow. Stay disciplined. Keep investing. If this insight helped you rethink your land investing strategy, make sure you like the video and subscribe to Winds of Thought for more deep dive real estate insights. And tell me in the comments, have you ever fallen in love with a deal you were supposed to flip?